Welcome to kind of a VOD review, not really a VOD review. The Overwatch League, well, Overwatch has posted the Overwatch 2 playtest that, other ones that happened throughout the Hawaii playoffs with some of the other teams, some of the other players playing on it. It is on the Play Overwatch channel if you want to go check them out yourselves. But I'm going to be watching them, breaking them down, talking with chat, all that good stuff. So if you just want to watch what I do, I'm going to go through all three maps. So they play Dorado, Havana, and then also the new map, New York. In these three videos released. So we're going to break down all of those, see these teams play. I think we see the San Francisco Shock play. I think we see some Dallas Fuel. I think we see more Gladiators. Not 100% sure. I haven't watched them myself yet. So we're going to watch this all live together. If you go to the Overwatch League YouTube channel as well, you can actually find some personalized point of view of some of the players. I think they have Super playing tank on some of them. So if you want to actually see them from a POV's perspective, you can see that. I might go and watch those later as well, but I won't be doing that in this video particular. So let's just get started. Well, actually, let's talk about Overwatch 2 and the playtest that we've seen so far. So obviously, we got to get a sneak peek through in the grand finals on that day. We talked, myself, Zoe, and the desk. We talked to Jeff Goodman and we talked to Aaron about the game, how it's coming along. We got to see the reworks. So if you have been living under a rock and you have not seen the Sombra or Bastion reworks, you should check those out. They are probably going to be in this game. The Bastion one's kind of interesting. He still seems very niche, but they're trying to take away the idea that he's just like a fucking turret that sits in a corner and then hope no one notices him and then they run into the open against him. And then Sombra, they've tried to make her less CC-like, so you're not permanently being hacked, but they've given her a pretty beefy damage increase when people are hacked. That seems like a bit of a contention of like she's a little overpowered. Right now it seems like Bastion isn't that good. Seems fine, but not that good. But obviously people don't know how to work him. And Sombra is considered to be like busted. Sombra is considered very good, especially with their EMP changes and all that kind of stuff. But hopefully we'll be able to see that in these VODs. Let's just get into it. I don't know if there's...
Hello everybody, Mitch Leslie here with Matthew Morello.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's Mitch and Matt. I'm going to turn them down a little. If you want to listen to Matt and Mitch, a lot of it, I'm not going to have them that loud. Because I just don't want them to drown me out. This casting is not live. Yeah, this casting is not live. This is just a voiceover. So, for this game, we are getting the San Francisco Shock taking on the Dallas Fuel. Makes sense. We got Super versus Hanbin.
I believe this was used in like one of their a mission.
So this is Dorado as well, and I think they changed. Sorry, I wasn't really paying attention to the thing, but they changed the lighting of it, right? So it's now daytime or that kind of stuff, which is really cool. Like Dorado looks sick during the daytime. I actually love it.
Yeah, well, of course, this is a payload map, an escort map rather. So.
All even like you can kind of tell that it's like a little bit different with how some of the things look, right?
Escorted through the first point, which is probably one of the most treacherous parts of this map, or at least it was in.
We get to see like the Genji and the Lucio changes of the borders. Winston changed a little bit as well.
Super's going to drop down and be quite the nuisance here. So Winston play from both sides. At this time, we've already been teased Winston's sort of a slight tweak to him in terms of a longer range capacity map.
All right, so we got Lucio, Ana.
Fire that shoots at a little bit.
I wonder if Lucio is going to be good or bad.
Sombra rework. That is
given the situation. Also, you can see here Glister is doing the thing. One of the big changes from Sombra that make her a little oppressive is that she can actually hack people while invisible, and the cooldown is incredibly short.
Hanbin doesn't lose his abilities, just loses them for 1 second. Extra damage.
Hanbin did not have a good time.
They're able to, just like in the Overwatch League, support Violet on the high ground. He's able to get some kills early.
Yeah, it's the Discord orb that makes it pretty tough for the Winston to stick around there. Hanbin probably knew exactly what he was walking into. So it's a false start here for this Dallas Fuel squad, and they'll be back. Of course, Sparkle on the...
They said the UI is a work in progress, and they're hiring people. Like, I think the most important thing you need to realize is that nothing here is set in stone. Nothing here is like, this is exactly how it's going to come out. If you don't like it, deal with it. That is not where the point of the thing. I think everything is subject to change. I think everything is like, it can be adjusted at any moment. Like, remember, we looked at Overwatch 1. We went back way 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and we looked at Overwatch 1. You think about how different that looked from the day it was released to where it comes from. Obviously, it's different because we're going from Overwatch 1 to Overwatch 2, but the game is still heavily in development and everything can be changed. So if you don't like something and you think like that feedback is valuable to Blizzard, I think they got a lot of that feedback from players. I remember talking to some of the players and they said one of the things that they had a problem with was the health bars above players, like you see here. They were saying that it's quite difficult to see, especially if they have armor against some backgrounds and stuff like that. So I wonder if that's something that's going to change as well. It just doesn't look as nice, if that makes sense. The new healer UI, I love the Mercy UI. I think the Mercy UI is really cool.
Right, where you had that fast, aggressive dive type of play style coming out from the Dallas Fuel players on that red team, where yeah, you know, you still have that teamwork, that fast pace. And
UI detail which shows a Mercy if she's healing is amazing. Yeah, it's a really good change.
Now goes over to Batiste.
Super backs up there. He looks like he got caught a little bit too far ahead, and Hanbin's going to go straight over the top, landing on Glister immediately. FD God has the...
It honestly just feels like Dive is like really quite good.
Quickly gets out, but Sparkle is on the hunt in the back line. Payload still coming up from the choke here, and here's the Tracer. This could be nasty.
What do you think of the Tracer sound? What do you think of the Tracer gun sound compared to what it once was? Do you guys like it? Sorry, I'm about to bust our ears open.
Out, but Sparkle is on the hunt in the back line. Payload still coming up from the choke here, and here's the Tracer. This could be nasty. Pulse bomb available, but Sparkle may not need it.
It feels like it still has that like pulse rifle sound to it, but it now has that like SMG underneath it as well, right? That sort of like lower sound. It kind of makes it kind of like kind of crazy.
One of the better tracers, you know, throughout the season.
Sounds almost the same. There's that under sound to it.
Or the shock is they're gonna make their way back.
This gun sounds completely different. This actually like they talked about it when they did that reveal, like that, like bop, 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 bop. Like it sounds more gun-like. It's not fully gun-like because it takes away a bit of that bass, but it's so fucking loud. It sounds pretty good. I actually kind of like how that gun sounds. I think it sounds pretty. I like how distinct it is now.
A little bit out, but I think in this new world of 5v5, right, where there's more space and
the soldier gun sound is bad. I like it, yeah. I feel like you're not gonna please everyone. Like I can understand why people wouldn't like it, but I think it's different. But it's wait, what is this Ana sound?
Flanking type of you know, trace with a little bit more long range capability.
It's very the Ana sound seems very. It's very different. The Ana sound because it's like it sounds like you're shooting like a fucking a Barrett in fucking COD 4. The
obviously the heavy pulse rifle gets a revamped sound,
which is interesting because it doesn't feel like it doesn't have that much recoil for the gun sound. I kind of like it, but it's not crazy. All right, here we go. Oh, that was not a great blade. Don't matter. And I remember talking to I can't remember who I was talking to about this when we were watching these VODs of like. It feels like 2 to 3 kills have way more impact than they used to, right? So as much as like, oh, Doa only got a 2k blade with that, like that means there's only 3 opponents left on the field. So every individual kill and multi-kills in general have way more impact.
Now the opportunity to take checkpoint B.
How does the gun, how does the Farah sound?
And more time. So see that ding, that'll be the first point there scored. And they'll move the payload from checkpoint A now to opportunity to take checkpoint B.
Fire Mercy now.
Wow, so the rocket sound is very different. It's way more like cannon-like. Which I as I said, I feel like my brain instinctually says I don't like it. But I feel like that's my brain saying like change is bad. Take it back to where it once was. I think I'll like it a lot more. Like I feel like it'll feel more responsive when you're like actually playing the game.
The shock, but Tayo is... Well, there's one hit scan in play, but FD God wasn't really able to do too much to help him there at all. Hanbin, notice he's firing off some of those longer range shots here to try and finish kills. Super there.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the right click. So for people that haven't been paying attention to the thing, so Winston now actually has a right click as well, which is like a ranged thing, which I think is super important for Winston, so that you can feel like you can do something when things aren't in melee range. So it's like a charge rifle, right? Like the boom, boom.
Available for Hanbin. This is where things get
I feel like that needs to have a louder sound when it gets shot.
Cisco, and he's gonna pop it straight away and go after the Mercy.
You should see everything used here on defense to try.
What is this? Oh, so this is the shield. Oh, this is interesting. I've never noticed this before. See this white bar under here? This white bar is telling you how much is left in the shield. That doesn't exist in Overwatch 1, does it? And if it does, I've never noticed it. But that's cool. I was trying to work out what this bar was. So that seems to be the duration of the shield.
On defense to try
That's
and
really
get
nice. That's a cool little feature to add.
trying to fly around and stay alive.
I do like that change. Like, I feel like that's a great addition to like the Winston bubble, so you can play around a little bit.
That's really interesting, right? Is that when you play Overwatch now, when you're Winston,
Because before, like, we all just have like a mental timer, right?
bubble, you'll do some damage.
How'd you figure that out? I saw it going down, and at first I thought it was the primal rage. I thought it was the primal rage. I'm like, why would they have 2 timers for the primal rage? And then I realized it was the shield because it's on the shield. So,
Safely, right? You have to overextend throughout your bubble. Is that a nice kill there?
woo!
You know, with the secondary fire, with Winston able to do a little bit more long-range damage, but you can actually make those.
I really like the tracer gun. I actually kind of like that. It's subtle, but I like it. I like the gun diff.
Winston's kit, they're able to finish those kills off.
Interestingly there as well, when you find a kill, it sort of indicates to you to what degree or what percentage of the target's health you've actually, dealt in order to find a kill.
So they changed the shields as well. So the shields are now green when you pop it.
Jackson, take note, it's green health now.
Yeah.
And that will decay, of course, over time.
I think it's so it's not confused with shields, right? Which makes sense.
Always the Lucio aficionado here. Trade of kills back and forth, but it's the immortality kills from Violet that kept the shot going. Now that's out of the picture, and Jackson going to return to the cart here to stop this storm.
Plop.
But you see Lucio just such a menace, right? Being able to use the speed for the team, get in, be offensive is super.
I would love to know how they changed the ult charge as well, because obviously there's less healing going out with only 1 tank. There is oh, how do I die to that? There's things, and then there's less things to shoot at. So I wonder if ult charges change, or if it's gonna really slow down.
Get taken down by the pulse bomb there.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky, Mitch.
My God, nice to see a bit of Tayo action here.
Something people haven't really talked a lot about as well is that we need to remember that this still seems like a very early build. Like, there's a lot of heroes that we haven't seen. Like, what are heroes that I feel like I haven't seen in Overwatch 2, the game slate? So we haven't seen Orisa, we haven't seen Sigma. We've seen Zarya, Ryan, Winston. We haven't seen Wrecking Ball. Have we seen Wrecking Ball? Yes, okay. I must have missed that. In New York. Okay, I haven't seen the New York. Okay. Moira, Doom. We obviously haven't seen any new heroes like Sojourn. Alright, so there are a lot of heroes that we haven't seen that I think we're guessing to be reworked. Have we seen McCree be played in Overwatch 2? Have we seen him play without a flashbang? No. So, and that makes sense because they've been talking about reworking McCree so that his flashbang isn't a thing. The cowboy? Yeah, I guess I guess it's not going to be called McCree anymore for good reason.
Try to stay out of line of sight of that amplified Baptiste damage.
I mean, that is the
hit the visor.
deal with an amp matrix, right? Just not getting the line of sight of it.
It feels way more like realistic, right, with this gun sound. Woo! Okay, dude.
Anything that can be done to interact with him. The closest thing is Tayo. Just to try and pepper Doha from
I will say, this game looks fun when they're playing Winston Luciana, right? Is it just me? But like, they're playing Winston Luciana, Tracer, Soldier. Like, the game feels so open, and it feels so like, it feels like everyone's actually able to shoot at each other, right? And that's like one of the biggest things that I complain about all the time is like, I know a lot of people think that you're going to lose a ton of strategy, but I feel like just the openness of it and the feeling that you're not just shooting at fucking shields or that every person you shoot at is just getting instantly healed up. I feel like that feels nice. Obviously, it feels like the game is happening way faster because of that, but I feel like that's a good thing, right?
Power positions, right? I think it's just allowing the teams to get a little bit more creative in terms of opening up more lanes for DPS, right? Allowing tanks to be a little bit more offensive without fully collapsing on them. And
so is that a charge time? So he's like holding it, and in his reticle you can see it charging up. So I wonder if it has to set. Can you hold it and then let go whenever you want? Does anyone know? Do you like hold it and then let go whenever you want, or do you hold it down and then it charges and then shoots? Like Sim? Yeah, that would make sense. Kind of like Sim. So you can hold it for a little bit, but okay, that makes sense. Okay, so it seems like Sim. Okay, that I like that. So it doesn't feel like you have to time it too much.
Winston to do anything from that would have to get right back into the thing of things, but you can just play a little bit at range there and do some damage.
It can be deflected by Genji. That makes sense. It's essentially just like a hit scan shot. Later, Violet.
Doesn't have to reload these fists.
Good beat by FD Gon.
Everything there. Tyre's trying to chase him there with a tactical visor.
Oh, Hanbin, you don't have health for that.
Him for the most part, but eventually he's going to be brought down by the Soldier 76. And look, this is Dallas that are sort of playing off of the cart here. Only 4 players.
Wait, he didn't get that beat? Sparkle's sad.
The pulse bomb may not have to use it here as FD God lingers a little too closely in his field of view for some time.
Oh, nice play.
His pulse bomb though and does find the target to field it.
How many beats is that? That's just 2 beats. We saw them from both teams.
They know how difficult this part of
Is the monkey right click hit scan a projectile? It looks like hit scan. It looks like a railgun, right? Is that just me? It kind of looks like a charge up railgun.
make its way through, and some changes here is that'll be a brig that comes in for the.
I like that we're not just standing around. It feels like constant fights are happening. I don't completely agree with that. I don't think there is just constant fights. I feel like there is downtime before the dive, but it's a lot of taking positioning, right? I feel like there's a lot less everyone shooting at each other and more of a everyone coming together, going, and then it resets, and then everyone coming together and going, and everyone's like trying to take positioning. I think positioning is going to be way more key than it was in current Overwatch.
That's absolutely perfect. We're going to look there at the Sombra play from Tayo and sort of going for hacks and not being revealed.
Like, it feels like there's a lot happening because there's everyone's consistently pushing back and forth for space a little bit, but there's not like a team fight constantly happening, you know what I mean? While with shields, it feels like no one's playing or vying for that space. The shields are just set up, and then people are trying to meet each other in the middle, right?
He's revealed there by a melee hit from Doha, who spots him, and Tayo has to get out with a translocator.
And you see those like individual big plays are now even bigger, right? In Overwatch 2, like a biotic grenade right there, able to finish them off. It's going to be a nano boost here on a super. They're trying to hold on defense.
Oof. Oh, later fielder. Okay. Am I the only one that thinks this is lazy by Blizzard? Blizzard, you can't just redo Scatter Arrow and put it there. Okay? That's not how it works. You can't just be like, hey, let's just reuse some assets over here. It doesn't even scatter. That doesn't even make sense. It's a place. I know it's obviously a placeholder, guys. It's obviously a placeholder. It's just funny.
Longer range shot from the Winston. Looks like a
scatter monkey.
Kill feed, but it's pretty darn effective in the game.
That was the Winston right click. That's the like beam. Oh, I like the overtime. I like the thinness of the overtime. I don't know why I like this so much, but this just I don't know why this just gives me serotonin. I actually really like this UI of like the overtime and how it ticks down.
2 checkpoints and about 43 meters of progress for the Dallas field here.
Yeah, so pretty good offense there from the red team. Like I mentioned, it's very difficult to get the cart, past where it is here.
Looks like the Hearthstone burning wick, yeah.
Towards that last moment, and I think they realized with how much time they had on the clock, it's kind of like wager, like, do we have enough to get over the line even at the end where they had to use the.
I kind of want it to be thin and squiggly. I don't want it to be squiggly, but I like the thinness of it. Yo, Dave, thank you very much for the 4 months. Hottest roster change prediction for this offseason? Thanks for everything. My hottest roster change prediction.
Right. I'm curious to see how they try and get around that kind of oppressive.
Fuck. Do I even have a good one?
Get on this first part of the map, and obviously that way they're able to use Winston down without having to, use his, his jetpack, and then he can go back.
Yeah, I think Pelican to NYXL is a good one.
Fuel though, so Doha on the Soldier 76 here, and will be Sparkle's Tracer, so not huge changes at all. This is, in my opinion, kind of the
Shockwave to Shock. I don't think Shockwave's gonna go to Shock.
Well, I think you also see the D.Va come in, right? As D.Va as a solo.
I would rather say Shockwave to Gladiators. Really is what I would like.
Over time.
Pelican to Spark. Pelican is. I would be. That is hot. If Pelican goes to Spark, I will eat my hat. We'll see. Shockwave to Paris. Yeah, Shockwave could easily end up at Paris as well. So.
The D.Va can also.
Oh, the Super Roadhog. Let's go. Oh! Later, Sparkle. Yo, Porter, thank you very much for the 5 months.
Someone's going to be playing on one of those buildings. Super has a split second to sort of, make sure someone's actually up there and find them. Little gimmicky, Matt, but it pays off for they find a kill on the enemy Tracer, which is huge.
And how I mentioned, D.Va has great defensive capabilities with like defense matrix and mobility. Yeah. Roadhog's main defensive capabilities.
Oh.
Just kind of takes up space with his body.
So I love this Mercy UI. Look at this UI. Oh, I accidentally turned on closed captions. Look at this UI. So I think this is hella cool. So you can see like the health, and here you can see the thing. I think that's nice, but I love seeing it how it looks from the other person's perspective.
So I'm just gonna try
the other person's perspective as well.
Well, Super finds another hook there. Sparkle's dropped into the back line though. We're starting to put a little bit of pressure on Violet, and Hanbin joins him. That sole tank for the Dallas Fuel, assisting with the dive right
The red
now.
alert from when taking damage is annoying. It'd be awesome if you could have a scaler for that, right? Like where it was like default, it was quite high, but you could scale it down on how much like it like angers at you. I feel like that'd be a really cool element to just be able to, like, I don't need to adjust it too much, just give me a scaler, right?
Dallas Fuel in a 5v5 format looks even scarier.
Yeah, and being able to see Hanbin here.
I have a feeling Farrah Mercy is going to be so OP. I disagree with that. I think with how open it is going to be, I don't think Farrah Mercy will be good. Because I feel like if you have Farrah Mercy, that means your other three players are like kind of playing to their own devices. Like, I don't know if Farrah Mercy is going to be that. Like, you're putting a lot of emphasis on playing the Farrah Mercy. And I also think it's going to be hard for your Mercy to stay alive because the game is going to be so much open and faster as well. You don't have two shocks to be between your Farrah and your Mercy, right?
They weren't able to capitalize on it, though.
Hanbin there is a little low, but he's going to try and occupy that area above the bridge. I mean, there needs to be a lot of healing here. Look at all the damage coming Hanbin's way. He's going to be desuited now. That leaves the Dallas Fuel without any real durability.
Oh! Sparkle Tracer, baby. He's been so good this season. Oh. Play the super.
This is going to be a whole hog from
Oh,
super.
no. Jexay. Jexay just walks into the room. Hey, what's going on in here? Oh, my God.
Game, we're going to see super switch off. He's going to be playing the Reinhardt. So Reinhardt gets more offensive capabilities here in Overwatch 2, being able to control it.
I really like the soldier gun. The more I listen to it, the more I like it.
Grenade made it impossible for Doha to beat it.
Oh!
Beautiful point-blank helix rocket connection as Tayo tries to blink across the gap at him, and well, the Dallas Fuel look absolutely frightening right now. Not much progress to speak of for the shock, and they've got a long way to go.
The super Reinhardt.
For them to make any progress, right? You see, like, kind of all these split off one-on-one engagements, and they kind of coalesce, and a few players left for each team. They kind of come together in a team fight, and Dallas just been so good at these.
Blop. Nice beat. Oh, the Jexay. Why did he get dropped? Let's go the opposite way.
Gets a sound barrier now, but Jexa could have done it if it was difficult, surely. A lot of pressure.
Have they talked about the passives? Have any of the players talked about the passives either? Like, because what were the passives, right? The one was like steadfast for tanks, right? The other one was passive heal for supports if they hadn't been attacked in a while. And DPS move faster. Has that been scrapped? Like, have we heard anything about that? Or maybe that got taken out? Because that was originally planned since like way back when in the year, right? But I feel like I haven't noticed anything. Like, I haven't seen the DPS going faster. I haven't noticed the pushback of the tanks. And I haven't noticed healers having passive healing. Maybe they haven't, I just haven't noticed. The DPS go faster, you've noticed it? Really?
Right there, I mean, just an incredible play, obviously, from a lot of the players on the red team, Dallas Fuel, but Fielder doing a job healing the entire team on the Ana, and then, Sparkle with another pulse bomb. But if you caught it there for a second, he actually sleeps Tayo.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the passes as well until I was like, wait, are they in here? I haven't heard anyone talk about them, right? Because I do want to talk about the healing changes in a little bit. And they've talked about that maybe they're getting rid of... Oh, nice nade. I think Ryan is just unrealistic in this comp right now with like trying to get in the high ground. They just can't stop the nades. If anything, I think they need to play a diva, right? Passive healing seems kind of redundant with the way people die. No, that's actually, I disagree with that, dear Mikey, because I think the passive healing is really nice for characters like Ana, Baptiste, like heroes where they have to use like their own defensive cooldown to heal themselves if they're like, even if they're just like not in danger. And that's the idea like behind it, is that like if they're not in danger, they will passively heal themselves and don't need healing from other people. So Ryan is unrealistic in Overwatch, period. I disagree with that. I think there are going to be some maps for him. What was that noise? Oh! Big slam.
Super gets a shatter eventually map, but it really doesn't have the shock and awe factor it had to. Violet wins that 1v1.
Brutal. I feel like Ryan is it feels like Ryan legitimately got bullied in that, but that's kind of like if you play Ryan on Dorado right now, it's kind of a throw right now as well, right? Like you need something that goes high ground. There's a reason everyone plays like Winston Diva Wrecking Ball on these maps because it's just like you need vertical. So yeah, maybe he tried playing on Havana. Let's have a look at Havana and see if that's true. I do want to talk about it though. I do want to take a quick break and talk about it. What do you guys? I obviously I haven't played around with the game at all, right? But theoretically, I think the 25 reduced healing, if you've taken damage in a period of time, I think it should be like short, like 2 seconds. And it's only 25% reduced healing. I think that's good for the game. But maybe that's coming from an Overwatch 1 perspective of like, I think one of the biggest problems with like Rush and Brawl and that kind of stuff, it just feels like nothing ever fucking dies because there's just so much healing. They speed in with a Baptiste and a Lamp, and they just do so much healing, AoE healing around them with the Lucio and the Baptiste, and everyone just takes damage, but it's redundant. So I feel like reducing the healing in combat is a nice change, but it's interesting to hear all the players pretty much were pretty against it. I didn't actually watch Super Space on Plat Chat. Like, what did they? Yeah, Super said it sucks, right? And they said that they're getting it removed, but I feel like it would be nice in the game, and I think it solves the problem. But I'm worried that like maybe the issue with it is I'm thinking from an Overwatch 1 perspective because Rush and Brawl might not be anywhere near as much of a thing. And I guess if you're playing like with how open the game is, if you're playing Winston, that 25% healing, you're gonna feel that when you're trying to move around the map. So it made Mercy especially feel awful. That makes sense. That actually makes sense because Mercy's very much playing around the idea of damage. Maybe if they made it like 1 second or 2 seconds, you know what I mean? Would it be better? Would the idea be better? But even then, as you said, like I think you're inadvertently like screwing over certain heroes trying to solve a different problem. Because I assume the healing reduction after taking damage is trying to fix the Brawl / Rush issue, but maybe that's not going to be an issue in 5v5. And as you said, Tokens, like people are just going to pick at you, but like it's not like it's a crazy amount of reduction of healing. It's only 25%. So maybe if a diva wants to shoot at you from distance, kind of 25% healing isn't the worst thing in the world. Legit spam moment. Yeah, maybe you guys are right. Like it's one of those things that I feel like is impossible to really understand until you play it yourself. So I do defer my judgment to like Super and Space guys that like who are tanks, who it's probably going to affect the most, and like, you know, the healers. Like I would love to see what they think and how heavily it was felt and how badly it felt. The fact that they were all pretty heavily against it makes me think that it was quite bad. I like the idea, but maybe maybe it just doesn't make sense in Overwatch 2. So, well, we'll see. I was interested in your ideas.
Welcome back, everybody, to another of our Overwatch 2 play.
I feel like, yeah, I agree with you as well, Thales. And if you're going to have that idea of like, you have reduced healing, you need to have an indicator that they're not getting healed, like you're not getting healed for maximum damage. But I think they've already talked about it. I think the developers have already talked about it, or people are saying that it's getting taken out, or it's at least being disabled. I feel like that's feedback that they're taking to heart and they're like changing it, which is good, right? It shows that the developers are listening to what people are saying, right? Like to what the pros are saying and be like, hey, this just doesn't work. Why is it nighttime? Yeah, so now we go to Havana, which is now nighttime, which I think is cool. So we're the opposite of Dorado. I think it's cool.
Yeah,
it gives very King's Row vibes.
Overwatch 1, but completely new lighting, new atmosphere here at.
They should switch the DPS and the healing passive. No, Tracer would become incredibly broken if you gave Tracer a healing passive. Can you imagine? She would never need to play around packs. She would just run away for a few seconds, heal up, and then come back. Like that, it would be so broken on some heroes that it just, for the most part, like some heroes would be good, but no, you need to rely on your healers. Like that'd be so broken on some heroes.
Makes it look so like it's crazy. Obviously, it looks different, you know, in the nighttime, but it just makes like kind of the ambience and the mood of the whole map feel different, right? Havana,
That's what she does with packs, yeah, but at least she has to move around those mini packs, right? She relies on getting packs that are around and she has to move in that way. If that didn't exist, the Tracer could just go hide in a corner for like 4 seconds and then just come back and then be full health. Like that would be so hard to deal with. Because what, like, one of the biggest ways to deal with Tracer right now is just apply pressure, right? Like that chip damage, make it so that she's at 120 health, 100 health. It makes it, she can't play in the same way. If you just make it very easy for her to get that health back, I think she would just be so broken, right? But Lucio would be fast as fuck. That would be true. But think about it now. Lucio has passive heals, so he can stay on speed for longer. I actually don't know how the passive heals work. I wonder if it is like after 2 or 3 seconds of not being attacked, you get the passive heal. I don't know. Like, I think that is one of the hardest things talking about these decisions in Overwatch 2, is they haven't really been given to us in full form. We've heard about them, but we haven't been told what they are or like how they exactly work. And I think that is creating a big disconnect of the idea behind it and how it's actually being executed is like sometimes very different.
While to adjust because you just haven't really thought about what time of day it was on her.
So it's like Mercy, yeah. I assume it's like Mercy, right?
Matches in Overwatch. Here we are.
But it's probably not as strong as Mercy's one. That's a lot of healing. 10 heals per second.
Yes, we'll get a chance here with Sparkle on offense.
And that's the thing, is like, how do you know it's 10 healing? I have no idea. Like, I haven't heard all that kind of stuff. Maybe it's like being announced and like all these things. It doesn't feel like they put it all in one place. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like we haven't. We're getting information from all over the place. I want to see what this Bastion feels like.
Now has a secondary fire that's like a grenade.
Okay, so tank in the bottom left. How long does a tank last for? I'm actually curious about this. So he goes into tank. So it's 8-second tank form. It's coming down on the left here, as you can tell.
Sentry form now has a secondary fire that's like a grenade. It can stick to players, bounce off of walls, and then also the ultimate, the air strike.
It's interesting that it doesn't look like Sim's gonna get changed, but I don't think Symmetra is anywhere near as good in a game with only one tank, right? The game's gonna play faster than Sim, I think, because Sim is only really good because of 2 tanks. I'm curious to see how this brawl works for San Francisco Shock. I think you can get away without playing a D.Va or a Xayah.
Maywall goes up, just kind of blocks some of the damage coming in from the Bastion. So see both teams just kind of posturing now. It's a tank battle you never thought you would see, right? I know Hanbin on the Reinhardt going up against Super's Reinhardt.
Yo, the Super Reinhardt is just MTD.
They get right up to the spawner. They're making this look easy.
It's much easier to guarantee those close range.
Xayah sucks apparently. Well, the problem with Xayah is that she's never really been a front-ending tank. Like D.Va, Sigma, and Roadhog, they can be played as the front line, right? They can be that. They like, the Roadhog just uses his face and then heals up, but he can be the person who anchors and moves forward. The problem with Xayah, fundamentally in this game, is that Xayah can't be an anchor tank. You can't play around Xayah being in the front line because she doesn't have, honestly, that much defensive presence. And if she only has 2 bubbles, then that's a problem. I think if you're gonna make Xayah be more tanky, I think you take her some of her damage away and you just give her more bubbles. I would rather see her have 3 bubbles with a much shorter cooldown, because people were saying the cooldowns of her bubbles were really high, but then she loses energy very quickly. Like, I would prefer to see that where she has a ton of bubbles, but it's very hard to keep that thing. So she makes her a lot more survivable, because she can just use 3 bubbles on herself if she wants to, but she can also throw bubbles out and then have them be faster, but have the value that you get in terms of damage trade-off, make that lower. So give her more survivability, but less damage. So, and then all of a sudden it becomes an idea of like, it's kind of like brig packs at that point, right? Where you need to use them effectively. You can't use them all at once because they're going to end up on cooldown, but it also gives you a big defensive aspect. Yes, she can use 2 bubbles on herself. So she essentially has 1 cooldown for bubbles, and she can use as many as she wants on herself or others as she wants. And I think that might be able to like solve a couple of the issues, but also it'll make her really fun and interactive to play as a tank. Like, I think that'd make her really strong. But I also genuinely believe that if you're going to do that, I think she needs a movement ability as well. Like, I think if you take some of her damage away, I think it'd be really cool if like you could give her a movement ability in some way. Doom with 3 bubble or no, and that becomes the issue, right? Is how do you balance just being able to give someone a bunch of bubbles? Yeah, like, yeah, so it's a cool idea in theory, but then it's like, well, you can just bubble one person a million times, and you're like, yeah, that's no fun. Like, if they, like, let's say they nanoblade, and then you just put all your bubbles onto Genji, but then maybe you could add a cooldown for bubbles on people. Like, after bubbling someone, they can't be bubbled for 3 seconds, or something like that. I don't know, I'm just spitballing here, but I feel like just from what we've seen from Overwatch 2 and like how I think Xayah would work, I feel like she's just gonna get shot at. She doesn't have any movement and she doesn't have a very good defensive ability, so I feel like she's just a sitting duck a lot of the time. Speed boosting bubble. Yeah, there's a couple. I think you could do a lot of different things with it. Xayah into DPS? No, I don't think that's the play. I think you want to keep Xayah a tank. I think, like, especially with how her model is designed, like, she needs to stay a tank. Her model is too big, so unless you change her model, it's not going to work. So, let Xayah ride a bear. Yeah, I don't know. There's ideas there. I think you can make some tweaks to it, but I think right now in the current kit, I think a lot of the players said that Xayah was just wet trash, and it doesn't surprise me at all. Like, how would you play Xayah in this matchup at all? Alright, so we got Harm and Ball. So Hanzo.
And with the Ant Matrix, it really becomes like another damage dealer.
They're saying knockback as far as rocket launcher on yourself. That would be too broken, because then you'd just move around so fast. I think you need to give her a cooldown for it. Oh, that's a great mail.
Is how awesome the new sounds are, and the Pharah rocket launcher just sounds so sick now.
Yeah, it feels more realistic, rattly almost. Not in a bad way, in a way that sort of makes sense considering just this transfer of momentum, considering you're literally firing rockets.
Make a bubble spawn a Reinhardt for 5 seconds. Hell yeah. Hot take, Bastion is fine the way he is. 8 slinkers, no. Bastion is not fine the way he is. I disagree with your hot take. Bastion is not fine. He is, in his current state, he is so niche, and so it just feels bad. I can see it's a good hot take, but I just don't agree with you in any way. I think Bastion is just so poorly designed, and he needs to be less niche and have some form of like neutral value that isn't just, if he's not in turret form, he's kind of trolling.
Well, you know, it just, I think you said in one
of
poor
Hanbin.
Other cast, right? It just adds a little bit more immersion to it, because you play against a Pharah Mercy, you know, on live, and obviously
Bastion is better in the current build. You can't even say that. We haven't even played Bastion, and like in these Overwatch 2 show matches, I feel like we've only seen like a collective 10 minutes of the Bastion, right? Oh, that was nasty tracking by Tayo.
The players don't. You hear the rockets just churning now, and it's just
the grenade launcher is pretty cool. Yeah, I don't think we've even got close to scratching the surface of like what it's gonna do, what it's gonna feel like. Super in Space said Bastion's rework wasn't good. Yeah, but I don't think they were like, okay. Do they think it's not good in the idea that the kit is bad, or do they think it's not good that he's undertuned? Like, maybe he just needs to do more damage while in turret form, or maybe his grenade needs to be more valued. Like, do you think it's a problem with the base kit that they've changed? Because I kind of like the base kit. I think his ultimate's going to be really hard to get value out of. That's my only massive issue with him. But they mean he's undertuned, yeah. And I think that's good, right? Like, if remember when we're talking about all these things, if something is undertuned, that's not a problem. They can turn knobs easy. They can make Bastion do a ton more damage. They can make people do a thing. The question becomes, is the kit that they've changed it to good? My problem, I actually like the grenade. I think that's an interesting idea. I like the sentry turret form because that allows you to like go in, go out, play around, do that kind of stuff. Maybe he's not doing enough damage to make him a threat, but especially seeing as he doesn't have a lot of defensive ability, because he doesn't have the, does he still have the self-heal? Or did they take that away when they gave him the grenade? No. And that's sort of the thing. I think the issue is right now is that he doesn't have defensive abilities. He doesn't have any movement abilities. So if that's how you're going to do it, you need to give him a lot of damage. Like, he needs to be more damaging. And it seems like every time someone played Bastion in these show matches. They play Bastion, they play it for one life, they get into Sentry form, don't do enough damage, and then they just die, and then they're like, I'm gonna switch. That's what it feels like here. So maybe the numbers just need to get fucked around with a little bit more, give him a little bit more damage, sort of tune around that knob. But I think the kit is interesting. The only thing I don't really like about Bastion's kit is his ultimate. I don't know how you make his ultimate effective, because maybe it does work, but it's like you're stationary like a Junkrat when you do it. I feel like everyone's just gonna chase you. And the fact that they can be eaten, they can be deflected, they can be that, I feel like it's gonna be very hard to combo those in any way, right? So I kind of want to know, like, maybe the ult is really good, and I just like, I feel like I haven't even seen the ult be used in Overwatch 2. So guess they're scared of opportunity. But like, as I said, they have time. They have nothing but time to do it. I like the rework for Bastion. I think it's a good direction of like, oh, nice slam. I think it's a good direction of like trying to make him less niche in like Sentry form. But a Sparkle?
They have pushed all the way up back to the door, right? Past the cart. I think they really made a difference. Even like,
and this sort of goes back to what I was saying about Farah Mercy. I think the game's too open. I feel like the Farah is just really struggling to get any effectiveness.
Stationary sense, but with the 76, right? The sight lines are really nice here. For
They said Genji can deflect the Bastion. Yeah, I think it's going to come down like a projectile. From the way Jeff Goodman kind of explained it, is like the way that the Bastion artillery works is that it'll come down almost like a Farah rocket, right? So it can be deflectable in that way. So if you look down and you deflect and you look in a direction, the Genji can actually probably deflect it in that direction.
All right, minefield available for Han, being here, but only 20 seconds are left. He's able to get to the high ground now. Where does he drop down? Gonna be an amplification matrix and an immortality field thrown down by the Baptiste. And
okay, let's go, Hanbin. Oh,
missing now for the shock, but Glista finds the finish on Fielder.
Tracer feels like she does too much damage. Oh,
look at this out of nowhere. It's an RKO from Super. Huge charge.
Wow, I am stunned, as you know, a lot of these games have been really close between these two teams. I don't know how this one's gonna turn out here.
So said it's hit scan there. Also, it's like moving really quickly.
Fantastic position to win here on Havana.
Yeah, I feel like they might have to balance Tracer a little bit. If the game is gonna be this open, it feels like Tracer is just like a must pick. I don't know, like, I don't know if you guys are getting the same vibe from this, but it feels like if you're not playing Tracer, you're throwing. Like, with just how open it is in a 5v5 setting, Tracer just feels like a must pick. So I think they might have to like turn some knobs at some point to like make it so that she's not as useful. Bonk.
It's a slower rate of fire, but much less spread. Look at
I'd love to see what it feels like.
Yeah, no spread, I believe.
Yeah, no spread on the left click. I don't know how it would feel to shoot this gun.
Spraying with a less potency, perhaps.
And if you can get an angle like
Yeah, like see, that just doesn't seem to do enough damage. Like, look at how much damage he does. Like, it doesn't feel like enough while you're in that Sentry form.
In Sentry form, you get those off angles, you still do tons of damage.
Yeah, I used to say that playing Bastion was like playing the cello in a marching band, right? You have to keep setting up and moving and setting up again, but now you can do it on wheels. Glista, though, doesn't quite have the torque to get him out of Hanbin's purview, though. Yeah, they didn't get the immortality field down, right in time.
Like, it honestly feels like Tracer Sombra is just it. I feel like Tracer Sombra Soldiers feel like the best heroes in the game right now.
It's been difficult for them to track down some of the members on the Dallas Fuel because they're playing so spread
The
out.
Bastion primary being shit, yeah.
Wants to play on the individual strengths of heroes in one-on-one matchups.
There's no Fielder Zenyatta left now,
and I feel like that's a big thing about giving it access to pros. When, you know, obviously the forums of Overwatch are freaking out. They're like, why are the pros playing it? And one of the most important things is I think pros are going to be able to squeeze every bit of value out of it. And I think all of them can say, like, without a shadow of a doubt, the Bastion looks undertuned. He just doesn't do enough damage. So I think that's the value of having is that the DPS players are the best. They know that they're like, this just isn't good. Like, compared to a soldier, like, we saw how much damage Tayo is doing on that soldier by hitting shots. You look at the Bastion, it doesn't feel comparable at all. So
just a moment, Doha moves up, EMP, bam. That's massive. Send health damage, and of course that initial hack. That's nasty stuff. Sparkle going to capitalize here from the high ground, and Super cowers behind his shield. Sparkle deals with Tayo.
There's no way they come back and do this, right?
I mean, Sparkle has. I mean, he's not going to buy the kill right now. The attack visor, he's half HP, 100 HP, and there's a shield in his way. This gambit might not have paid off.
Shield's taking a ton of damage though.
Moved back, Immortality Field had to be
Oh, Glista dies. Dude, a shot gonna throw this?
from it. The Transcendence looks
Wait, what just happened to that? Was that an EMP? Wait, what was that? Oh, there's a Transcendence coming out. It looks like an EMP now. So they changed the look of the Transcendence so it's more glowy.
this area of effect of that
Ooh.
to force the shock back for now.
Yeah, now we're back to an even fight, right? Everybody at full strength. What are we getting close to here? You're getting close to
Doa got 30% charge for on his EMP?
MP,
That's massive.
Send help down. Now
Wait, you get... Wait. That's just shouldn't how you can't get what? You should not get the damage from the EMP into the that doesn't make any sense. That needs to be changed. You should not EMP and get ult charge from the value of the EMP. That is that is 100% a bug. There's no way that's supposed to it's supposed to work like that. I wouldn't overthink that. There's no way it's designed that way. That's ridiculous, yeah.
From the high ground, and Super cowers behind his shield. Sparkle deals with Tayo.
There's no way they come back and do this, right?
Yeah, that's a good catch by you guys.
I mean, he's
Not gonna bite
It's like getting charged from Blade, yeah, or like Barrage or something like that, right? Like, yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
might not have paid off.
Shield taking a ton of damage though.
Moved back, Immortality Field had to be used as a sound barrier, but Glista won't be around to
I like the green
Transcendence looks
from the beat now.
to see the area of effect of that ability, and it's enough to force the shock back for now.
Yeah, now we're back to an even fight, right? Everybody at full strength. What are we getting?
Yeah, Doa's is 70% to another EMP. Yeah, that's...
Super shatter, and it looks like they're gonna take a different angle. Look, this is where Diva's really beneficial, right? You can have, you know, Hanbin play the card.
I like the rework. I think they've made everything smaller. I like the UI now as well. I think it needs a couple of changes, but I think overall, oh, Ajax.
Winning play from the Tracer on the high ground. Self-destruct there, but there's no way Hanbin's going to get back in the mech. It's just Doha on his lonesome. And the San Francisco shock get across the line. A short-lived stoush on Havana. And the
I hate the UI. What do you hate about the UI? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the UI. What don't you like about the UI? Because it hasn't changed that much. If anything, it feels like they've made everything a little bit more boxy and more compact. Too square? What's wrong with squares? Because this hasn't changed that much. It's just like everything's not tilted a little bit. You know what I mean? I don't like the old charge symbol. I kind of like it. I like it being more solid. I can see it's just different, right? I don't think it's bad. Because I don't think they've, like, people are saying, here's my problem with people who are like, you guys, like, who are saying that you hate it. It's like, I can understand if you dislike some of the changes, but you can't hate it. It hasn't changed enough to hate it. Like, they've made the elimination in boxes, but I think this is good. Like, I think this is way better than what they have now, where, like, it's fucking this big box of text, like, screen of text on your screen. I feel like they've taken a lot of the, like, screen clutter away from it and made it a lot cleaner. I don't like the bottom left name banner not showing the team. That's so easily changeable. Like that's not something you can hate about the UI. That I assume that could easily be something that's supposed to be there and just isn't, right? I feel like, yeah, and I guess my question to you is, do you not like it because it's different, or do you not like it because there's like a fundamental issue with like UI? Because I don't feel like it's changed that much, but I feel like a lot of people are saying they hate it. And I'm like, I don't hate it, it's just slightly different. But I kind of like it because it feels like they're making it cleaner. Like color blindness or dyslexia, but I feel like they'll be like, they have a color blindness mode in Overwatch right now. Obviously, we haven't seen it because we haven't touched it, or we haven't been able. But they will have a colorblind mode, and I assume they'll make it so that it's easily fixable for those kind of people, right? Kill feed doesn't look cleaner. I actually don't mind it that it's thinner on the top right, because like it used to like, I think what they've done is they've everything's been sort of like squished a little bit in a way, right? Like this whole top box has also been squished in a way where it's like, you know, it's not as big and long. The kill feed is not going to go all the way down your screen. The ult charge looks way better than this one. Let's have a look at Overwatch. Ult charge meter. So this is essentially what it is, right? Like, is it really that different? Like, the only real change to it is that it's solid now. Like, I guess it was more transparent before, so it like didn't feel as in your face, you know what I mean? Maybe it's the transparency that people like maybe it's more obvious, but I feel like this one wouldn't go with this UI and the way it is now. Everything's not tilted, the number shouldn't be. That's a good change. I actually kind of agree with that. Like everything, like even with on the thing, this is slightly tilted, but the box isn't. You know what can be smaller? Yeah, I think you can make it smaller. That could be a good idea. Like if you make it a little bit smaller, keep it in the middle and keep it solid. It's, as I said, it's not really that different. Like I don't think there's fundamental changes. I think it's hard for you to say that you hate it when I don't think it's different enough to hate. But hey, everyone has their opinions. But change does not necessarily mean it's bad. What does it look like when you have ult? I actually think it looks better when you have ult. We'll see it here. So we're now going to take a look at not Kings Row. We're going to look at New York, I believe this is. Which is an escort. I think it's hybrid, actually. I think it's a hybrid map. So we're going to check out this. This map is sick.
Yeah, it's a you know, an old Italian woman New York thing, you know, and seeing New York created in Overwatch 2.
The current colorblind setting is one of the worst I've ever used in a video game. My worry is that they'll overlook the accessibility problems again. Oh, interesting. I've never, as I said, I'm not colorblind, so I've never used it, but I've never heard that it was bad. That's interesting. Yeah, well, hopefully they fix it if it is that bad.
It looks so good. I remember
because I just always thought it worked. I don't really know how it works. Super throw incoming. Oh god.
I cannot wait to see, you know, players, you know, get.
Will it be different weather conditions every time? No, I think Dorado is going to be during the day. Havana's going to be during the night in Overwatch 2. I don't think it'll be going back and forth.
The essence of New York City and put it in a much more manageable space.
Yes, absolutely.
Two of my friends are colorblind. They say it's atrocious. Interesting.
Here and it's really fun just to see a lot of the little Easter eggs that have been dropped in here. So keep your eyes peeled for those. Now, let us not forget, this is a hybrid map, Matthew.
Yes, so the red team, which will be some of the players from the Dallas Fuel, it's actually all players from the Dallas Fuel, they'll be on offense, so they'll have to take the point, then...
Single games do it much better. Yeah, but that makes sense, right?
Kind of work a lot like how, you know, with escort maps, is Super, he's actually going to get DMAC'd really early, and that's going to allow Sparkle...
How did Super get DMAC'd? I think he thought he could get out of there way easier.
Early, and that's going to allow Sparkle to take this high ground here through the train.
It's interesting how close the point is to the spawn, right? Like, it's kind of crazy. Like, their team just came out of here, and the point is here. That is a very short run to the point. And I wonder if that's an active decision, because that's going to be really hard to defend. Maybe they're making it so it's even for the attacking and defending team on the first point. So, and it doesn't feel very choky. So I feel like this will be a very easy point to cap, but I actually don't mind that. I feel like a big problem with a lot of the hybrid maps right now is that the first point is like very hit or miss. Like, I think there are a couple of really good ones. Like, I think Kings Row's pretty good. I think Hollywood's not bad, but like Numbani is shit, right? We can all agree that's just way too defensive oriented. Well, this feels pretty balanced.
You know, with escort maps, is Super.
Hey, what's up, Kresnik?
Really early, and that's going to allow Sparkle to take this high ground here through the train.
Yeah, this train car forms a bit of an overpass.
I mean, Kings Row has a very short run to point to, but it also does for the defensive team. So I feel like it's not a defense team has a little bit of a disadvantage, but I feel like that's around where it should be.
I mean, dude.
Oof.
You're dealing with the stone cold killer Violet. He gets rid of both the enemy DPSs.
You know, the shock messes around putting
Damn.
Violet on DPS.
Sombra just does so much damage with the hack, and it feels like she has hack off cooldown every 2 seconds.
On the Batiste, right? He's got a Hanzo into 76 coming through that train, and he's able to just take them out.
I think it's interesting. We are 42 seconds into the game. There was a team fight, and not a single person is above 40% ult charge. Like, that is just in itself a crazy change. Like, the amount of ult charge that is being generated in this game feels way slower. Do you guys like that? Do you guys think it is better that the game has less ultimates in it, or do you think it's better when there are more ultimates? I tend to like it that it doesn't have ultimates as much. I feel like ultimates should be more important and less impactful. Because I feel like they should be harder to get so that when they are used, it matters and it doesn't feel like someone's getting an ultimate every 2 seconds. You know what I mean? But it seems a bit too slow. So you want to slow it down, but you don't want it to be this slow. So you think they could probably like turn that knob a little bit more? Get ultimates a little bit faster, slower charge, high impact? I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Like, this does feel very slow. The fact that they're not even at 40% ult charge, right? Like, at this rate, right? Like, Jexay's not going to get a fucking beat before the round ends. So maybe a little bit quicker, but I agree. I think it definitely needs to be slower to get ultimates than it currently is in Overwatch 1, right?
On the Reinhardt, you can see now
Oh, Tayo just got slapped.
the Hanzo in the 76 up in here to do some damage.
To them, it seems preferable to
Jexay just doesn't feel like he's getting ult charge, though.
He's actually playing
Oh, fielder troll.
normally
Why were they in the middle of that train?
one, but he's
Feels like a throw.
pretty darn good. As so far, the Dallas Fuel are being denied
Wait.
inside the choke, and this is a different
Let's listen to this hash
He's
gun.
actually playing the Diva. Normally his selection in Overwatch 1, but he's still making it look pretty darn good. As so far, the Dallas Fuel are being
Dude, that sounds like a cannon. Boom, 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 boom. I actually like that. That sounds good.
little train card overpass. Now, maybe they'll think about walking under. We'll see. So far, though, it's a pretty.
It sounds like a battle rifle
Here, Ashes
from like Halo.
She shoots from underneath the bridge. Just the sounds just so much more real. It feels like more of the impact.
more immersive,
yeah,
right?
it is. Super's gonna be.
Is Super gonna lose his mech again?
So the reason you
Oh no.
defense, you want to control this high ground, right? And with potentially the defense matrix, this will be a Bob used by Glister, so this is gonna buy the shock some more time to stabilize. But you know, Diva, you're
Is that the Diva gun?
It's gonna buy the shock some more time to stabilize.
The Diva gun
Bob
sounds.
used by Glister, so this is gonna buy the shock some more time to stabilize.
I actually kind of like that gun as well. I actually really like a lot of the gun sound changes. I think they're interesting.
Ability to get up and finish them off.
Super.
quickly is pretty important. Look at this. Hanpin goes ahead of the amplification matrix thrown down by Fielder and eats up some of the oncoming damage. Drops down to the low ground. He's done a heck of a lot of work here. He'll be desuited
So we're about 2 minutes in, and people have only just started getting ultimates, right?
by that sort of that blue strip around it. And again, like any hybrid map, it's 3 ticks, and once they have them, they'll access a payload. Dragon Strike thrown in, I guess, the presumed direction of San Francisco.
The cap feels really slow as well. I wonder if they've changed that.
The use of
Look at that. Look at how slow this cap feels.
is pretty important. Look at this. Hanpin goes ahead of the amplification matrix thrown down by Fielder and eats up some of the oncoming damage. Drops down to the low ground. He's done a heck of a lot of work here. He'll be desuited, but the Dallas Fuel here, they've moved to the point. You can see that's denoted.
Is that different? 2x?
Around it. And again, like any
Maybe that's around the same.
once they have them, they'll access a payload. Dragon Strike thrown in, I guess, the presumed direction of San Francisco coming out, but that's 4 players going to be.
The payload moves super far after point A is captured. Okay.
Their abilities, but it's the damage amplification for some.
This is the Mercy UI, by the way. This is showing like the yellow bar beam shows that he's being healed, and you can see it in the bottom left. And if it goes to blue beam,
Players able to find one
it'll change, but it also tells you the direction in which the Mercy is, which is nice.
stabilization here from the shot.
Yeah, it's that EMP now, right? It does percent health damage to players around, 40% of the current health. And then
Slightly
also
slower cap. Yeah, I don't know if it is actually slower, but it just feels like it, you know?
In a traditional game, right, Overwatch 1, where the hack takes the abilities offline forever, that's a nice kill there by Tayo to finish off Fielder.
Let's have a look back at it. So let's look at this, right? Because this is what everyone's afraid of, right? With the Sombra. So Tayo's just there. There's a Lucio right next to him. He gets hit. Oh, he got hit for like half his health. But the hack and just the amount of damage that you're going to be able to do is just kind of insane.
Potentially the Soldier 76 up at the high
Super still doesn't have ult. Well, in the game's defense, Super has done a little bit of trolling.
he was. It still wasn't
After he gets caught in the open.
No Fielder, and still the Fuel want to go forward here. Sound barrier from Jax is what sets them up, but there's going to be a Bob used defensively by Glister. Harden's Wrecking Ball again, he still favors the mobility of that hero.
Sombra Death's not broken. I actually kind of like Sombra's kit a little bit. I think she does 50% damage on that hack. It just feels like way too much.
He's hit with a pile driver, gets a Harmony Orb from his teammate, and that forces the immortality field of Violet, which is a removed field that gets him at long range.
And you see Violet on the Batiste, even to protect himself pretty well. Is this gonna
C9! No! C9s are still going to exist in this game. There's going to be C9 still happening. First of many. First ever C9.
Look, we see it in Overwatch League.
Oh yeah, so the cart has not started being pushed, right? We'll see when it starts getting pushed. Here, yeah, so the cart gets all the way to here. I actually like that it doesn't take too long to come out. But it does come out a very long way before it actually starts being pushed.
Doha being sneaky, is that's going to be an EMP as well, as FD God using the Valkyrie just trying to keep everybody alive, not going to be able to do so. Sombra's role now is much different than it was in Overwatch 1. Overwatch 1, she was really used for
it's funny because it feels like the only heroes that you can really play are for support. Actually, I guess there is like 5. Is like Lucio, Anna, Mercy, Zen, Bap.
from the
Like not having Brig like feels so noticeable. Like no Brig or Moira like feels very noticeable.
yeah, exactly. Where you know,
Feels like release Overwatch 1 where there was just no options.
but just changed enough in tune to be more of like an assassin. How she was able to be.
Oh!
Yeah, getting the extra damage on hacked targets, plus the EMP doing percent health damage, which is huge.
Yeah, that's so much damage. Like, that's so hard to play against. The Sombra can just hack you whenever she thinks, and she just comes out and just 50% damage. Like, it's just so much.
By kind of watching and observing the game.
Oh, FD, wow, you can play Brig? I thought Brig was getting reworked. Oh. Oh, there you go.
On there from,
Have we seen Brig be played at all?
I believe it actually even does some damage on Ejecta. The ultimates, right? In Overwatch 1,
She does 50% damage bash, but no stun.
by ultimates, right?
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Wait, did they announce that in February?
It's in a fight. You always seem to have some up.
They announced that way back in February, right?
You know how Overwatch 2 looks here.
Got multiple final blows? Okay, well, that shows what I'm showing.
It's not there's more opportunity to make plays without ultimates, but then it also obviously makes the impact of when you use that ultimate stronger and more impactful.
Absolutely. I mean, gaining less ultimate charge while firing on tanks definitely is
and one less
will
tank.
dissuade
Yeah.
people from doing that. Super. Gonna get a remake opportunity.
So the bash now does 50 damage, but no stun. I feel like you're nowhere near as much of a threat if you don't have that stun. You know what I mean?
Now, but the fuel are on the cart, so we will have an overtime.
The CC will be removed, yeah. And I think that makes sense, right? Like you kind of need to remove a CC.
There on FD God to make it so there's no CC from the Brig, and it can't.
Yeah, I feel like she needs something.
Best Sombras we have in the Overwatch League, so you fully expect him to be able to pick up the reworked version of
Maybe
Sombra
make it a push.
and really start to
Maybe if it pushes people when you bash them, it does damage and it pushes them away.
Let's see if they can finish it off.
Because then you would be able to play in a way in which you could like push them into your team. Like not a big push, but like enough of a push that like you'll feel it.
It's a little bit twisting and turning, so having a Sonic arrow here,
Maybe 2 boobs. Well, one of them. Oh yeah, I guess that just becomes into 2 boobs. You're right.
Tayo can be away.
I don't know. Oh, later field it.
Perfect
I gotta say,
execution of that
Mitch,
information
look
gathering.
around the room here.
Love how large this tunnel. The tunnel is huge, and it's just more open. And I think this sort of goes to show the ideology that they're trying to do with these new maps. They want it to be more open, a lot less choky, which I think is great for the game. I think one of the biggest issues with the game is how choky it is, right? Oh.
So they've talked about going into.
Okay, we got Rally. So Rally's not armor anymore, right? It's just temporarily health.
The maps kind of aid to that as well.
So the rally quote-unquote armor there is actually green health, as was the adaptive shield of Hanbin when he dropped in there on the wrecking ball. So
It's like over health, yeah.
those sort of decaying extra health effects have been sort of united under sort of just.
Doom has 3 boots. What's wrong with 2 on Brig? Well, the problem with it is that 2 pieces in a kit do the exact same thing. You know what I mean? Like that feels like the issue with the doing 2 boops. Like both of them push people away. Like make Bash give overhealth. That could be interesting. Brig gets overhealth for bashing someone. Make her a little bit more survivable.
Obviously, in much the same vein. Here's the Transcendence coming out from Fielder, and there's an EMP.
So we got the rally from FD God.
Amount of early percent damage done means Violet is
How did that?
in this.
How did the rally interaction work with the EMP?
Here's the transcendence.
So FD God rally, the EMP comes out, it does remove all of the overshield that FD God had. Oh, actually, that might have just been the damage from it. I actually don't know how the EMP doesn't remove shields anymore, right? Actually, isn't that something that Jeff Goodman said? It doesn't remove shields anymore from like Zen and that? Just the damage, so it's for the 40% damage. So it does 40% of your current health, right? So if Brig has overheal, did that do 40% of all of the health? So let's say she has like 300 health with rally up, or like 250 health with rally. Does it do 250? It'd probably do 250, 40% of your 250, right? Regardless of armor. That makes sense.
Violet is extremely squishy, and Sparkle can play from a relatively safe distance here now, as we're going to be into.
What if you're on 1 health? You stay on 1 health probably.
Still looking pretty comfortable, forcing the defenders back into their spawn behind Sparkle.
You can't die to EMP.
Now, the Sombra obviously can put down extra damage, but the hack also allows Sparkle to see players through the walls for a period of time, right? So he's able to track really nicely on the 76. They're going to have the Nano Boost Super to get to the payload just to stop it from going in.
And look, I mean, the fuel respect this for the most part, but the minefield has dropped down.
Oh, he needed to get to the bomb. Tragic.
Hits that much harder when there is no mitigation in the form of defense matrix. Sparkle just deals death from the back line now, and that Dragon Strike might dissuade the fuel to a degree, but Harmbin's so durable, he rolls straight on through of it.
All right.
Mines disappear,
Visor value.
but the Dallas fuel finish the match.
Well, so they don't have any time remaining, right? So we'll see when the Shock go on their offense what they decide to do. Maybe they play for that high ground just like Dallas did, but the goal.
The Soldier ult UI is interesting, yeah.
Complete the map and get us into overtime. Now that's what they would need to do to extend.
Think too much clutter on Visor? Let me go back. Let me have a look at it.
You'll respect this. Tactical Visor hits that much harder when there is no mitigation.
What are those things popping up on the screen?
The tactical visor hits that much.
Yeah, what even, what the fuck is this?
Has dropped down now, and Super's going to be desuited as a result. And
Like, what is this like?
tactical visor.
God. It's just for looks? I don't think you can see through walls. It doesn't seem to be targeting people.
Desuited as a result.
Is it targeting people and he's just moving? But like, there's no one over on his left. Like, why would it put something there, right?
Much harder when there is no mitigation in the form of defense matrix. Sparkle just deals death from the back. Much harder when there is no mitigation.
I don't know what's happening here, but it looks weird.
Sparkle just deals death from the back line now, and that Dragon Strike might dissuade the fuel to a.
It looks like, yeah, it doesn't look like it makes sense. If you can't, if it's an aesthetic thing, they need to remove that. The aesthetic is annoying and not cool.
But that's what they would.
Of course, in terms of compositions, right? We started off with sort of the more dive-centric setup as both teams were playing the Diva, trying to control the...
Yeah, I don't know. It didn't feel like it was actually actively connecting on people, so I assume it was more of a visual bug.
Some different tanks. The Hanzo came out. The Sombra was there as well. Again, definitely a feeling of, I don't know, greater lethality from your DPS here. That might just be... because there's
Oh, well, and Lim, thank you very much for the Prime sub, by the way. I think I missed that. Could be a tracker for rockets? Yeah, but it doesn't really make sense, right? Like, it'd be cool if it means, yeah, if it doesn't mean anything, just remove it. If it means something, they need to make it clearer what it means. Because I don't know if maybe it just wasn't working as intended, but I have no idea what it was.
Support, but still being able to kind of do damage, and I think, be a force offensively from every position, I think is really important.
So again, as you can see up there,
I think the other buys we saw had that. Yeah, I don't know.
the Dallas Fuel, San Francisco again.
We'll see.
If you got to see our Dorado playtest, you might have seen some hijinks at the start of the round. We might have those once more here as the shocker out of the gates here. Again, they have a Symmetra, but this is probably uncharted territory for them. So no
Did Matt just drop a spoiler on them?
Probably not all that clear to them off the rip.
Two very different.
That TP did not go very far.
They're trying to set up these sim turrets and play around this Reinhardt in the Torbjorn. Does not look to be working out.
Is this like one of the first times we're getting a look at Echo in Overwatch 2 as well? I feel like I haven't seen anyone playing Echo.
Difficult for the Shock to get
Whoa!
going.
Uncharted territory for some, but Doha looks extremely at home on the Echo, as usual. I mean, Dallas are one of the teams that, rotated both their DPS players through playing Echo at times. So
Are they just doing away with Paris and all the other 2 CPs? Yeah. They might be remastering them for a different thing, like arcade modes, but they've said they're getting rid of 2 CP.
And try and
Well, it looks like it's pretty hard to take. I disagree. I think it's quite easy to take. With how close the spawn doors are and how many points of entry there are to the point, I think it's actually going to be quite easy to take.
store to the left, and maybe if they're able to get a little bit longer. You know,
You want to know what it reminds me of?
But they got burnt down by
This point is actually very Junkertown, right? Of team comes out, they have a little bit of cover, and then they have like a top section which they can play across, but there is fundamentally a choke and a high ground that the defensive team can play over here. But they can get onto that high ground by going through the bus. It feels like a Junkertown with a little bit more cover, but you can also flank around the left, just like Junkertown A as well. So it actually has a lot of the same feel as Junkertown, maybe just a little bit more open with less LOS, if you know what I mean. Well, not less open, more with less LOS. It feels like Junkertown with less LOS.
choke and try and
they made a TP play, right?
Yeah.
But they got burnt down.
Better Junkertown. Yeah, I would say it's better as
They
well.
were able to get position inside of the store to the left, and maybe if they're able to live there a little bit longer.
New York is Junkertown confirmed. New York is in Australia confirmed.
Nice hook
Oh!
there from Super. And it's really Roadhog's strength is to be able to get these.
Oh, he missed.
I mean, Super in the 2020 Grand Finals.
He's just getting a tick.
Variety on that Roadhog.
I don't hear anything that like anything is being ticked, and I don't think anyone else on the. I don't think Dallas knows there's ticks going away as well. I feel like there's no visual indicator, audio indicator that Glister is currently capping the point. Like he is literally just capping the point. He just got 2 ticks. Hello? But yeah, I don't hear anything from the audio that is telling me that it is there. So that might be a. They might need to do it.
Look, vital challenge.
Yeah, maybe in spectator mode it doesn't exist. I don't know.
He drops his own. It's not going to work out for him.
But the fact that the teams aren't reacting makes me think not.
They're up on the high ground. That's going to be a sleep there on the Super, and he's going to opportunity to hit a big biotic grenade.
Okay, he has to touch though. There's no choice but to drop onto the point.
Oh,
very low.
you got it.
Was gonna be able to finish him off on his own, and Super's in deep trouble.
Yo, let's go, Fielder.
And yeah, the reinforcements came at just the right time, but Field was out of
That
remains
is a
to be
nutty
very
play.
nasty.
I mean, he's able to stay up there, kind of heal his team as they're defending. You know, prevents the shock from actually taking the point. Right, very close, 96%.
What was that splash? The splash looks very Splatoony. Oh no, these days.
Up a kill. I mean, that is a
I forgot Fielder was a good player. Well, yeah, you should unforget. Fielder's great.
Custa tries to go for a bit of a back.
What?
Dorado there on the high ground.
Custa tries to go for
I think he thought he had a blink.
a bit of a back cap, or at least
He definitely did not have that blink.
Pulse bomb goes awry. Now Super.
Delete the VOD.
12%, but he can still get.
Whoa, that was a weird interaction with the hook.
He's able to do that though to Doha, and now he's looking for the mercy. This is a one-man army right now. Straight onto the point. Bob used defensively, but he'll be picked up awful quick too.
And even though that big biotic grenade came through from Fielder again, they were able to just stay inside of the train car.
Yeah, I think the only hard thing that's going to be attacking is removing the backline from here. This feels like a very defensible spot. This feels like where you're going to hold as a defensive team. Maybe have your tanks on the like closer to the train, or have your backline up there.
He's able to go out and use his pick potential to open things up, and he's able to get 2 straight away. Glister is taking.
Look at this championship level Roadhog. Look at this legend.
Player in the distance, and you're able to get those 3 kills and unlock the payload.
Tanks. Oh yeah, sorry, tank.
Again, quite the vibrant payload now.
Look at the high ground they can play from on offense right away, right?
Yeah, look at how quickly they want to establish that, especially with a Soldier 76 here.
Interesting little setup here.
He wants to try and go forward here.
Yeah, this looks like with the first hold where the offensive team's going to try and push a cart, the defensive team's going to be able to play up here, but then they can play from back here. Interesting enough, it doesn't feel like there's any high grounds. You know what I mean? It feels like everything's somewhat close. Oh my god. Hello?
Is the shock they want to push this payload. No, just like in Overwatch, a lot of the maps have these difficult chokes at times to get through.
This is Gibraltar. Yeah, this is first point Gibraltar. Kind of, right?
This underpass, so they invest some ultimates. They get through
Brr.
the cart. And now what do they do, though? They don't really have much outside of this Pulse Bomb and the Amp Matrix. They got to get good use of these ultimates.
This is... I like this second fight. Like, you can obviously tell where they want people to fight, right? On these points. That's a good mines. That's a good mines.
3 players hit by the pile driver and into the minefield immediately. Hanbin's going to be beaming after that one. But so is Doha. Still controlling that higher ground on the Echo. And Super...
I think Overwatch 2 looks less real. I think it's the engine change. I think the engine change has like changed a couple of things, makes it look a little bit more animated. But I think it looks cleaner.
I mean, which one? Fielder? That's a pretty good target.
He'll take anyone.
Hey, I mean, you get rid of the bionic grenade source.
Oh,
You
God.
don't find any more than that, though. The cart does push up a little bit,
but look at this.
Doha finds the kill on
Look at the
Super.
position it forces them into. You know, Dallas Fuel now underneath in the
Oh, wow.
They have to use a duplicate. They're not going to get anything.
He just got absolutely melted out of that duplicate.
Help us Sparkle finish off.
Oh, this is a cool little like subway area.
So short-lived, he's
Oh, he's dead.
immediately knocked out of that. So it barely has any time to respond. Violet in mid-air is able to avoid the focusing beam, and Hanbin works him down. That cart, though, is still not moving.
Cleaner means generally more unrealistic. Means more less realistic. Sorry. Yeah, but like I think the game's not supposed to be realistic, guys. We're playing Overwatch. I just want it to look clean, and I feel like there are some situations where the game, like some of the maps, they're just really dark and kind of like meh. You know what I mean?
Here an FD God can't quite escape. That is a very angry Brigitte. It's a par driver on the higher ground for Super, and it allows Fighter to secure the kill on Sparkle, but there's still 4 players up here for the Dallas Fuel, and they're not budging from the cart. Great whip shot there to knock the wrecking ball back, but Super
Ball seems hard.
Yeah, it doesn't look good though for the Shock, as Dallas really, you know, dominating here on the defensive side of things. And oh, FD God, he'll jump on and get a touch. It just looked like it when it was about to be over.
There it is, overtime.
Jack say, leave FD God alone.
Touch the cart with the Brig, and Violet won't be able to drop down. Our first competitive play test.
They should revert or Brig nurse me things. Absolutely not.
Keep an eye
Bonk.
out for the rest of our Overwatch 2 play test.
There it is. That's all the playtests. I think they were interesting. I think we got a little bit more look at, like, I don't think we learned anything new crazy. Like, we got to see some of the gun sounds. We got to see some like bugs in action and stuff like that. I think the game looks fun. I don't know what everyone's talking about. I love maybe it's gonna feel different when you play it, but I feel like when people play enough 5v5, the structure will come back to the game and it won't be as chaotic. But I love how open it is. I feel like everyone's actively shooting against each other. I didn't feel like we ever ended up in this like dumb stalemate of like people shooting at shields or everyone just waiting for ultimates. Maybe that'll come back with the as I said, when more strategy comes into the game, when people play 5v5 more. But in my opinion, I think it looks fun. It looks a lot more shooty gun FPS style, and I think that's where we need to get back to in Overwatch, because I think that's one of the biggest issues the game is happening. Like these brawl ones where it's like everyone just slamming their heads into each other, or like double shield where everyone's just shooting each other from distance and it feels like everyone's just shooting at shields all the time. Like, I hope that these changes of 5v5 will open up the game. I like how open a lot of these maps are as well. I'm not going to watch any of the player povs. I'm not going to do that right now. Maybe I'll do that later, and I'll sort of look at it and we'll talk about that from like a player pov. But we're just going to end it here on this one. I completely agree with you, Scrabbles. We need to reserve judgment. We should not be making snap judgments off of these like little bits that we've seen. The players haven't really been able to play the game that much. They only like Super, I think, was one of the people that played it the most, and he played it like 7 maps. Like, that's not many maps really in the grand scheme of things, and people are just messing around. Time will tell, and I think as soon as we all start getting our hands on it and we get to really like feel it out and like play around with anything, then we can start being a little bit more critical. But I think it looks good. Ryan skin review. There's a Ryan skin. All right, to finish the video out, let's do this. What is this from? This is like very lichy, right? Skyrim, Droga, Viking. It's very it feels very Lich King-y, but yeah, it is very, I guess, Droga and like Viking-esque, right? It's a cool skin though. And I think you have to agree. I think all the skins that Overwatch has been doing are phenomenal. Like, that's a cool skin. Like, you can't get over the thing. My biggest problem with the skins, and I'll say this here, and I think it's because I think it's important going into Overwatch 2. I never feel, every time I get a skin, it doesn't feel exciting, and they need to find a way to make skins feel more exciting. And even if that comes down to like microtransactions or a battle pass or thing, but it doesn't feel like anytime I get a skin, I just open loot boxes and then get coins and then just buy the skin with coins. It doesn't feel like, I don't get that serotonin of buying skins. So I hope that they fix that, and that we can like have a lot more of these skins in Overwatch 2, and I hope they fix a lot of those things. Because as I said, I love the skin, but I'm not gonna be like, see someone in game like, oh my god, they have the skin. Maybe the first time I will, but outside of that, I never will. So advocating for needing to spend more money, please stop. If the game goes free to play, I think the best model, all right, I'll put this out here. I think the best model for Overwatch 2 is it is free to play with microtransactions, if you really want to buy things, but with a battle pass system where you can acquire things by using the battle pass and playing the game. That, in my opinion, is the best model for Overwatch, and I think that is the model that is successful for pretty much everyone. Like, that seems to be the market standard for like video games, and I hope that Overwatch 2 does that. It's a pretty safe option to go for. So that means if you don't want to spend any money, you don't want to pay for microtransactions, or you don't want to pay for the battle pass, you don't have to, and you just won't get all the unique and rare skins. I think that's a good trade-off. But if you want to buy those things, you have to spend money. I think that's a great way. So we'll see. We'll see what they do. I hope they do some cool stuff with that. I hope you guys found it interesting. And, you know, obviously breaking down Overwatch 2, a lot of the gameplay, we did get to see a lot of things. Didn't really learn a whole lot new, but it was cooler to see more in-depth ways that the game was played. I'm excited for it. You should be excited for it too. Don't be too cynical. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you guys think that the game is going to be good? What do you think the change to 5v5, the reworks, all that kind of stuff is good, or do you think it's bad? And if it is bad, don't just say it's bad because I hate change. Oh my god, it's different. I love Overwatch 1. I think that's unrealistic. Let me know why you think it's bad and give me a reasonable idea. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.